Hello, this is my story, Holdsworth Way, Part 1. The night was thick with fog, shrouding the small town of Holdsworth Way in a cloak of darkness. It was Halloween, a night of playful fright and laughter, but this year was not. The residents had no idea that a monstrous figure lurked just beyond the glow of the street lamps, a giant of a man armed with a sword that gleamed ominously under the moonlight. His grin was demonic, a wide crescent of madness that sent shivers through the bravest of souls. He moved like a predator, silent yet swift, sleeping through the shadows. His first victim was a teenage girl dressed as a fairy, her laughter fading into a scream as the blade sliced through the air. With a sickening thud, her head rolled onto the cobblestone, the blood spraying across the pavement in a grotesque fountain. The giant revelled in the carnage, a thrill coursing through him with each kill. One by one, he dispatched 12 lives, leaving their heads as gruesome trophies scattered across the town. An elderly man walking his dog, a couple on a midnight stroll, and a group of friends heading to a party. None stood a chance against his brutal efficiency. Each kill was executed with precision. The sword sang as it cleaved through the flesh and bone, blood soaking into the ground like a dark promise of horror. As the clock struck midnight, the giant saw his 13th victim. Jake, a man in his 30s, had just left a Halloween party, a few beers fueling his bravado. He was oblivious to the death. Suddenly, he felt a chilling presence behind him. He turned, eyes widening as he came face to face with the giant who towered over him, the sword dripping with the remnants of its latest conquest. In the moment, fear and adrenaline collided within Jake. The giant swung his sword and Jake barely dodged, the blade slicing through the air where he stood just seconds before. Hearts racing, he grabbed a nearby metal pipe and swung it widely, connecting with the giant's knee. Bone-crushing crack echoed through the night as the giant staggered, but his fury only grew.
You think you can stop me?
The giant roared, his voice a low growl echoing through the darkness. He swung again, the blade cutting deep, warm blood spilling down his sleeve. Pain shot through him. Jake pushed through, driven by survival. With a surge of desperation, Jake charged, tackling the giant to the ground. They wrestled, the sword slipping from the giant's grip as they rolled in a frenzy of blood and fury. The cold metal of the sword gleamed close, and Jake lunged for it, feeling the heat of the giant's breath on his neck. As he grasped the hilt, the giant snarled, but Jake was faster. He swung the sword with all of his strength, burying it deep into the torso. The blade sunk through muscle and bone. The giant's eyes widened in shock as he gasped, blood pouring from his mouth, staining the ground beneath him. With one final defiant roar, the giant fell silent, collapsing into a heap of flesh and gore. Jake stumbled back, panting, the sword slipping from his grip. As the adrenaline began to fade, he looked down at his own injuries, blood oozing from the gash on his arm and the bruise blooming on his side. The town was forever changed, and though he bore the scars of battle, Jake was now a hero, a survivor in a town that would remember the night the giant came. But the mystery of who the killer was, where he had come from, and why he had unleashed his madness would remain unanswered, leaving behind only a dead man in the morgue, a ghost of horror that had haunted Holdsworth Way. The end.
Thank you for listening today. Stay safe out there.
Join us
in the next video.
and don't get too spooked.